Hello guys, it's Let Your Light Shine. I got Buddy. This is my second time being here. Your first time. We're going to check out that abandoned town of St. Thomas that Lake Mead overtook. And now you can see it. It's a forever trail now because the water line has gone down so badly here at the lake that it will never be underwater again. Which there were times it was up and down on the water flow, but I guess after 2012, it's not coming back up. This town will always be exposed. And so now you can see the ruins. It's a really cool little trail. And we took the Valley of Fire to get here, and beautiful scenery to get here. But there's a 3-mile crazy unpaved road to get to this site. And let me show you that real quick. So this is what you go down for 3 miles. But I just have a regular vehicle and it was fine. Real quick, I also had a Lake Mead park pass. That does not work for this area, apparently. I had to pay $10 to get in, which wasn't too bad considering. And so anyway, you got to go down this hill to go on the trail. So let's go explore. All right, so it is a 2.5-mile loop trail. And what's cool is that they have these kind of signs in front of certain ruins and you can read what you're looking at. So you gotta, this is not a very much a wheelchair accessible kind of a trail, and you gotta, by all means, wear tennis shoes for this too. All right, guys. So just so you know, the historical St. Thomas site was back in the 1865, and then it finally, in 1938, everybody had to finally evacuate because it took 3 years for the lake to create a lake. The Hoover Dam was created, and they said, "You guys got to go because your town's going to be underwater." And it took 3 years for it to finally get to this area of the lake. All right, so we got down to the main trail here. You can see it. They say it's not maintained that well, so and you're at your own risk. And we're the only ones here. Once again, I don't know if people just don't have an interest in this or not, because the Valley of Fire was definitely busier. So we should be exploring the ruins very soon here. What's crazy to me is that the fact that this has been underwater multiple times, you would see it outside of the water because the water lines would go lower. And I think back then people would just take a boat to the ruins because it wasn't completely dry like this. But can you imagine going scuba diving and checking out buildings that existed in underwater? Like, oh my God, how creepy is that? But from what I read from some of the stuff, and I'm sure they're going to show it in a lot of these pictures. I forgot exactly all the coverage of what they talk about. But it was the Mormons that settled here at first. And I guess they didn't know the state that they were in because they didn't have the state lines drawn yet. And then when they realized, hey, you're not in Utah or Arizona like you thought. You're in Nevada and you've been living here for so many years. You got to pay some back taxes, little buddies. And so they scat out of there like, oh, hails to the no, we're out. And new settlers came to live in this town. And they had a river, I don't know if it's still here, it's called the Muddy River, I believe, where they could access to make their own irrigation so they could grow their own crops. But it was when the Hoover Dam was decided, the Boulder Dam at first, it was called, I believe, that they had to vacate completely because they're like, you guys, this is going to be completely underwater. We are building a dam, we are building a lake, and this is going to be part of the lake. I believe one person was very stubborn about it and stuck to it to the very end because it took 3 years to do it. And after finally the water was coming up to his house, he finally lit it on fire, got in his boat, took off. So now we see what the town used to be. So let's go check it out. All right, we are coming upon our first picture. This is in good shape. I don't know if they just redid this. I've been here 6 years ago, and oh, look at all the seashells too. This is a working vineyard at St. Thomas. Ooh. Farm workers. Threshing machine. So I guess they were 5,000 pounds of lint, the usable part of the cotton plant after the seeds and leaves are removed. Wow. More than 300 pairs of denim jeans can be made from a bale. What are the clothes made of that you are wearing today? I think I'm wearing cotton. It's very interesting to, so quiet and peaceful. All right, we are finally upon our very first ruin here. I'm not sure what I am looking at, but it does talk about the back taxes that I mentioned. So let me read that to you guys as you look at the beautiful ruins and this beautiful view. Initially, the settlers of St. Thomas thought they were in Utah or Arizona territories as the boundary lines were not well defined. But in December 19, 1870, a boundary survey determined that St. Thomas was actually in Nevada. So county tax collectors demanded settlers pay several years of back taxes in gold or silver coin immediately. But the settlers had little faith that the tax payments made to Nevada would be used responsibly, and they did not possess the required currency as payments to Utah and Arizona were made by an informal bartering system. So the townspeople turned to Brigham Young for advice. He allowed them to take a vote to stay or go. The next day, December 20th of 1870, the majority voted 63-2 to abandon St. Thomas. The original settlers departed, but because of the attractiveness of the area, St. Thomas was gradually repopulated over the next decade. Oh, but I guess Daniel Bonelli and his family remained in the area to operate the Bonelli Ferry along the Colorado River, and he also operated a salt mine and was a successful rancher. He invested in irrigation systems that are already in place, so as people moved back to St. Thomas, he benefited monetarily. Smart man. All right, we're coming upon another ruin, a little bit bigger than the one we did see, and look at these old trees. I'm still amazed that they lasted underwater. They're just still intact and rooted. I was just looking at history, you know, it's just so crazy. All right, so here's another foundation. I see a plaque ahead, so I'm going to go over there and check it out. It's not really telling me what this is, but maybe that plaque might. We'll find out. I know the schoolhouse is coming up towards the loop area of the trail. Maybe it's just I don't know, because some are homes, some are stores or whatever, schoolhouse. So, all right, let's keep walking towards this thing over here and see what it has to say. Just a side note, this is like the end of October that I'm here, and the last time I was here 6 years ago, it was mid-November. The weather is perfect around this time. I wouldn't advise to do this in the summer because it's probably freaking hot as hell and you're in the complete sun the whole time, and this is a 2.5 hour loop trail that right now is decent, but some areas you got to watch your footing. So just a heads up on that. All right, this is talking about the Hoover Dam or the Boulder Dam. What is the land worth? Yeah, the Boulder Dam Act of 1928, signed into law by President Calvin Coolidge, authorized the construction of Boulder Dam. This meant the end of St. Thomas, as the rising waters of Lake Mead would eventually inundate the town. Yeah, so I guess they did dismantle their homes. So what we're seeing is just like the foundation of the homes, moving to nearby towns. Yeah, St. Thomas was becoming a ghost town. Only a few hardy individuals remained, and this is the guy, 1938, Hugh Lord, lit his house on fire and left by boat as the water was lapping at his door. Wow. So we were just talking about how this was submerged underwater. And so I was thinking, well, some of these foundations are tall, or not really tall, but tall enough to, how far up did the water rise above this town? And from what I read, 60 feet was the deepest this town was underwater. So, just so you know. And also, there's no bathrooms here. You can go to the one at the visitor center when you enter the park where you pay. And that's it. So prepare, just so you know. All right, guys, we came upon some more things to read. I'm not going to read it all, obviously. But it does say this Virgin River Bridge, crossing the sometimes treacherous waters of the Virgin River, became easier with the building of this bridge in 1915. After surviving the numerous floods, the bridge burned in 1925. Clark County commissioners were aware of the rising waters of a future reservoir, now known as Lake Mead, would eventually flood the town. The Arrowhead Trail was rerouted to the north. Today, Interstate 15 follows that same route. Very interesting. So they did say St. Thomas was a major stop along the Arrowhead Trail. The Arrowhead Trail was the first designated automobile route between Salt Lake City to Los Angeles. Okay. And As you explore St. Thomas, note the stumps that line either sides of the roads. A variety of trees watered by irrigation ditches once provided shade throughout the town, making it an oasis. Now, Mary, okay, I saw somewhere in a picture that there is a cistern or a well or whatever you call it, and there's edged Mary on there. I want to see if I can't find that. All right, this one's talking about how St. Thomas has reappeared about 4 times. So 1945, 48, 65, 2012, and that was the last of that. But see how they were like, I guess they weren't. I could have sworn I saw where they were like taking a boat to the ruins because it was still like kind of still underwater. But it doesn't look that way. It looks like they're actually on the land. Wow. That was crazy, guys. Literally, a gust of wind just came upon us like the ghosts of St. Thomas just came through. That was crazy. Hopefully it doesn't do that again because I'm trying to film here. Anyway, let's go over toward this foundation and see. This is a lot bigger of a foundation. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't want to step on this. This is one of those tree stumps. I don't know if you can see it. That they're talking about that lined the homes back in the day. So let's go explore. I see over there the trees, like a big border of them over there. But let's check out these ruins first. Oh wow, and it even shows stairs. Gosh, some of it's very well kept, you know what I mean? It did not rot away in any way. Preserved, I guess you would say. That's crazy. Oh, at first I thought that was cardboard. That is a major piece of something. Wow, this could have been someone's house. Or it could have been a general store, for all I know. It's not telling me. Let me back up so you guys can see more. All right. I like to stay in wide view. So my apologies if I wasn't on wide view a second ago. Oh, what's the green? Yeah. There's a little bit of life in there, but it just rained a couple of weeks ago, so. All right, I'm curious about that. I didn't realize this is a long length of tree line. My only question is why they cut them in such a perfect chop. Was it like because it'd be an obstruction to the lake? I wonder if this was just the property and this is like a fence line of trees. That's a pretty good sized line. Goes way over there. All right, there is a ruins over there and there's something to read, so let's go check that out. All right, pretty much not a lot, very, very flat, but you can see if you look real well, you can see just very small remnants of this. Water, it says. So that's probably what this main thing over here is. Oh, this must be the main well then. Using picks, shovels, and scrapers, the Mormon settlers built an irrigation system from the muddy river to their fields and orchards. 1869, the system had been extended upriver to provide town with a more dependable water source. The ditches and concrete-lined canals wound through the town, bringing water to the community. So you guys go, children playing in the water while parents work nearby. Maintain irrigation. Here's the town cisterns. Allowed people to draw buckets of water for their daily use. Each held several months' supply of water, which was filtered through charcoal and sand. Interesting. The smallest member of a family was lowered into the cistern once a year to scrub the walls. Holy crap. Okay. So let's check out this. Watch your sunglasses, guys. That's pretty. Well, there's lots of debris in there, so I don't know. All right, back along this tree-lined path we go. I bet you this was beautiful back in the day. It's still pretty cool looking now, actually. I'm just amazed that it just stayed like that, just petrified, I guess. I don't know. So way over there, I see a foundation, a pretty tall one. But before we get there, we see some debris. But it looks like from cars. Wow. Still just crazy that you should just be sitting underwater. Just.
Looks like an anchor or something. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. Why does it have like a cable attached to it? All right, so onward to that tall remnant over there. And just so you know, from the Henderson area, which isn't that far from the Las Vegas area, it was about an hour and a half drive. Now we did take the longer route because we wanted to go through the Valley of Fire, but it wasn't that much longer by 6 minutes, so I'm just saying. Personally, I like that route coming because it's pretty. It's pretty going the other way too, but I remembered when we went here 6 years ago, we took this way here and then we just kept going that way home, and we were going through like some abandoned marinas, so I didn't know, I felt like I was the only one on the road, let's just put it that way. So I think we're gonna head back through the Valley of Fire to get out of here. I want to see the backside of Valley of Fire, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's all other angles I didn't get to see the last time. So anyway, we're jumping upon this remnant here, and if there's anything to read, I will show you and read it to you. All right, my buddy has noticed another one of these wells. I really want to look for that one that has Mary's name etched on there on the inside, I believe. Hopefully I get lucky to find out. I'm curious about what the other one had the same thing, this little thing right here. Because it's not like it's connected to that where it poured in, so I'm not really sure what that is. And then these must be for the personal homes. Ooh, that is creepy and deep in there. I do not. I'm going to keep an eye on my glasses and my phone. I don't see any kind of Mary etched on this thing. Can you imagine taking your little kid down there? Okay, now you get to go scrub this. Oh God, I'm freaking out. I am not. Okay, guys. But,
Cool Halloween stuff.
yeah. So here's a foundation. It's very flat. Look at it. Wow, you can even see like the bolts on there. Just. Now I was gonna say, why is there a tree in the house? But that was a wood piece that still stayed behind. Okay, wow. Excuse the wind, guys, if it gets my mic on my phone. I only use my phone as a camera, so look at this old tree. Wow, that thing was massive. Right. We're getting close, but I think we got off the beaten trail we thought we were on. Let's go this way because I see ruins this way too. So we're seeing more ruins before we get to that main one that we were going towards. Yeah, it looks like just a bit of a foundation of some sort. And then, wow, look at this hollowed tree. Wow. How cool are you? That's pretty cool. And I also see another well over there, so let's go explore over there. And before that well, I see some kind of object. Maybe another tractor piece, vehicle piece. Yeah, same thing as I saw last time. Same exact thing. Interesting. If you are a mechanic, what is that? I know it's part of an engine. All right, this is more in depth here, but still. Is this a reservoir for the water? Like, oh, you historians out there. Another deep, scary well. Yep, of course. I don't see any etchings in here. Okay, we are moving on to that, finally. Just so you guys know, if you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, there is cell service because I just got a text message, so you're okay. You're gonna be okay out here. I don't know why we are the only people, again, on this trail because this is like so cool to check out. Whatever, people. All right, guys, let's see what we're looking at. Interesting. Was that for display at one time? What is that? Oh, this is the store. Okay. Businesses along the Arrowhead Trail. Groceries. So this is what we're looking at. Very interesting. Look at these pictures. Oh, this. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that. It looks like I'm looking. Two visitors at St. Thomas stand along what remained of the Hannig ice cream parlor in the 1930s. Ice cream, guys. That's where you got your ice cream. How cool. And see, oh, this is where I saw people use a raft to navigate the flooded road past the former St. Thomas post office. So, yeah. So it wasn't always like this. You had to like go underwater. It was still underwater. All right, I just wanted to... There's another well over there. Let's go check it out. We gotta find that engraving. So I'd be walking up. I don't know where I'd order my ice cream though. But you know what? Foundations are very interesting to me because I've never built a house, obviously, so I don't know how it really works. But it's very interesting. I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to have your house straight on dirt because in case it rains and all that stuff, it protects the bottom. All right, let's go over here. All right, this wasn't as deep of a well and no engravings on this one. I thought this was the end of the trail, started looping way over where we parked, but that's not the case. I see another plaque, and in the building that I do believe was the schoolhouse / auditorium is right there. All right, we're coming upon, well, that's just talking about mining mountains, so I don't think it's going to tell us what this is, but we'll go check it out as soon as I look at this. The Grand Gulch mine was one of, oh, maybe that's what was one of more than 40 active mines in the area in the early 1900s. Wagons hauled supplies to the mines, returned loaded with ore. The official weight of the ore was taken at the Gentry store. So, is that the Gentry store? Make sure I don't lose my footing here. Looks like there was columns here. This is pretty, oh, okay. I'm like, wow, it's pretty deep in here. Very interesting. Another foundation over here. Let's see what that. Trying to put it all together like that movie Titanic where they show the ruins and then it manifests what it used to look like. I wish it did that. That'd be pretty cool. Because I don't know what this is. Why is there a rectangle? All right, let's move on to the next ruins here. All right, guys, this is the biggest of the foundations here. Kind of curious to see this metal here. Wow. Interesting. And the steps, that's what always gets me. Look how perfect these steps are. That's crazy. And just on your way to school. I think they had 4 classrooms and then an auditorium. And it was a few stories high. All right. That's okay, so it was 2 stories high. School bells. Education was important to the settlers prior to the construction of St. Thomas Schoolhouse. Parents provided a variety of places for their children's schooling, including tents, parlors, or living rooms. Look at all the kids that lived out here. So that's right there. It's crazy. All right, I've never been around this area, so it's just like, imagine all the times kids playing around a building like this. There was a well back there, so I thought I'd go check that out. Beautiful views though, I can only imagine. Alright, so the backside also has their stairs. Not really sure what this is, but there is one engraving. And this one did not have Mary on there either, so I don't know, guys. I'll keep looking, but it is what it is. All right, so the trail, this is at the end of the trail. Now we're going to work our way this way. It's going to take us to another route, and it's going to connect to that main trail that takes us back to the car. If you should get a little lost or confused, because sometimes these trails, since they say they are not being kept, you might be like, where the hell is it? But just look for the plaques. There's plaques along the trail that'll lead you back to where you're going. So thank God for the plaques. That's all I'm saying. Before we hit those 2 plaques, we noticed this. It's a pretty good size ruin here. And there was something back here as well. And of course I'm going to look for that well. I don't see anything. I do see steps though. Very interesting. The steps are so eerie to me because they're so intact. So this is like a separate building. So is that like a basement area, I guess? Okay. Now let's go that way. I am noticing steps on this side too. So there's steps on the front and back. I mean, I guess if it's a house, you would want the backyard, front yard. Very interesting. There's 3 sets of stairs. Here, here, and in the back. It makes me wonder if this is not a house, but more of like an office, like different entrances. Nothing's telling me what it is. Can you guys guess? Comment down below what you think it is. All right, family business, general merchandise. Harry Gentry, so the Gentry store. Oh, the St. Thomas Post Office. So, there's ruins over here and there's ruins over here. Not sure which one is which, but just so maybe that is the post office. Oh, general merchandise, maybe it's both. General merchandise, post office. Look at all these people lived here. It does show you kind of on the loop trail where you are headed. So we are, yeah, okay, post office, Gentry store, okay. Gentry Hotel, okay, thank you. That's what we're looking at. So we did have the blacksmith shop, the handing store, a garage, a home, okay. The bunker home, Gibson home, schoolhouse, okay. We're gonna go through 2 more. Oh, the Gentry home is what we were just looking at. Oh, so they were living pretty good with those 3 stairs, just saying. We're gonna have another home we're gonna be looking at. Okay. All right, so this is the hotel for the weary traveler, or was the hotel. See, this is showing it now. So we're at the Gentry Hotel. A bit off the path here, we just saw this. It looks like it's being preserved. It must have been falling down the wall. So anyway, back on the path we go, and back towards the car. All right, we're seeing yet another well, but this one's a little bigger, so I've assumed it's more of a community one. Although it is near Foundation here, so. Oh, there it is.
Trying to find it?
Yeah. See it?
Oh, okay.
Wow. Oh, it says, no, it says May 26, 1914. It doesn't say Mary. But wait, I see Ellen, Anna, Faye, Doris. There's all sorts of names in here. Wow, that's really cool. And the other ones, we're just gonna keep perusing. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm seeing with my eyeballs.
Does it say Mary?
It said May. Oh, wait.
Looks like a RY.
Oh, Yeah, is that? No, yeah, it is right after the date. May 26, 1914, and then Mary. There it is, guys. Finally found it. That is so cool. Yeah, they're all female names. Let me see if I can zoom in, guys. Alright, I'm trying to, like, if you guys can see between the wire. I do not want to stick my hand and hope for the best by that, but there you guys go. Finally found it. If you guys can kind of see the etchings of the other names that we were just talking about. And then right by Mary was the May 26, 1941. Let's see it right there. That's cool. All right, on this side of the trail, we are definitely heading back, but we saw this on the way out. There is another cistern. I do not need to check it because I found what I needed. We found Mary. Home sweet home. This was, this is what it looked like, okay. And this is what it looks like now. Very interesting. It says, my family told how difficult it was to sleep at night in the summer, and so richer people had a second story with a balcony where people could sleep as they could catch a breeze. Wow, yeah, I can only imagine. To sleep at night, they would have a bucket of water by their bed, and they would wet a sheet and sleep with that over them. When the sheet dried out, it got too hot, they would wake up and get the sheet wet again in order to fall back to sleep. Wow, that is smart. Really should appreciate how we have it today, guys. Look at their puppies. Cute. All right, guys, coming back, you're still entertained with stuff to read. They said the train is here. So it's very interesting because I didn't realize that. Okay, so in 1911, construction began on a spur line of the San Pedro and Los Angeles Railroad from Moapa to St. Thomas. I wonder where that line is. I don't know if you can still see a train. Upon completion, trains arrived in the community pulling boxcars filled with commercial goods, refrigerated cars filled with ice for household use. At last, perishable food could be stored for longer periods of time. Residents were able to replace their wood, wire, and burlap desert coolers and ice boxes. Trains departed the valley with shipments of ore and salt from the outlying mining areas, along with fresh cantaloupes, watermelons, and other farm products for sale elsewhere. On the day of was completed, June 7th of 1912, a contest was held to name the most popular lady in Clark County. The honor went to Mildred Anderson, who drove in the engraved ceremonial copper and silver spiked, donated by Grand Gulch Copper Company. Very cool. All right, guys, here's our outro in the car because it is so windy out there, and I'm sure some of my footage is wind, so I might have music to this. You guys definitely check this place out. Definitely don't go when it's hot. And 2.5 mile loop. Oh my God! At the end, we're just like, we just wanted to be done because you have to go up that hill. Yeah, if you're not a hiker, it is like. The hill is a little treacherous at the end. You're real tired, but it was well worth it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming along with us, and until then, bye everybody.